In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use Claude Code to build Next.js websites and landing pages, and then how you can instantly deploy them to Vercel and to a live website URL using your terminal. So the benefit of this workflow is that you can essentially just prompt Claude Code and it will update your website in real time. So you don't have to do any coding on the back end. You don't have to mess around with even drag and drop website builder tools. All you do is sit here in this Claude Code chat window and prompt Claude on what changes you want to make. Being a Next.js project, if you have that window in dev mode set up on the right hand side like I have here, any changes Claude makes will be instantly reflected in that dev mode window, so you can see the changes that are made and iterate in real time. So this is a really powerful way to quickly build websites and landing pages. I'm going to run you through the entire process and show you exactly how you can set this up for yourself and build websites and landing pages really quickly. Okay, so the first step in the process is to set up our Next.js project as a directory so that we can then open that up in Cursor and start prompting Claude Code to help build our website. So this path will be unique to however you've got it set up on your computer. For me, it's in D drive in projects, so I'm just going to change directory into the projects folder. Now I want to run the command to create a new Next.js project. The command for that is as follows. And then, so it's npx create next app at latest. And then we want to name our project. So for this one, I'm going to name the project Snapper AI Homepage Redesign. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a new homepage for my website separately, and then we're going to be able to test that in dev mode, use hot reload to make sure all the updates are working correctly before we then deploy it to our main website. So we'll press enter, and this will create a new project and ask us to confirm some details. So we'll proceed here. The first question is, would you like to use TypeScript? We want to say yes. For ESLint, we also want to say yes. Tailwind CSS, yes. Do we want a source folder? I would usually say yes to this, but we're only designing a homepage here and then going to integrate that into our main website. So for this case, I will not create a source folder, but usually I would recommend yes to do that. Apparator will say yes. Import alias. TurboHack will say yes. Import alias, no. So this will now create our Next.js project. Once this is done and set up, we can then jump into Cursor and set up our workspace in Cursor so that we're in this project, and then we can use Claude Code to initiate a session there and start doing some testing. So we can see here that's now finished successfully. It's created the project at the path that we've assigned, which is D drive projects Snapper AI homepage redesign. So what we can do now is jump into Cursor and open this project up, see what files we've got, and ask Claude Code to help us build our website. Okay, so we're in Cursor now, and you can see I've opened up the project that we've just created. So the command we just ran in PowerShell created all of these files you can see on the left-hand side here, which is the base files that you start with when you create a new Next.js project. Page.tsx is the main page we're going to be working on initially. So this is essentially the base landing page that is created when you start a new project. We'll run it in dev mode shortly so you can see. So to do that, we just need to use the command npm run dev. This will run our website here in dev mode. It will open it in localhost and we'll be able to see what we're starting with. Okay, as we can see here, it's launched in dev mode. We can see it's just the basic Next.js placeholder landing page. So we can see that it's working. We've launched from Cursor using the dev command, and that's the existing landing page that we're working with. So you'll see as we move forward with this video that we'll prompt Claude Code to update this landing page with the content that we want it to use, and then we'll be able to review in dev mode. Also going to be using hot reload, which means we don't need to run the dev command every time we make an update. It will automatically update this page as we prompt Claude Code to make updates. So we'll go back to Cursor now, and we'll initiate Claude Code, and we'll start prompting it to help us build our landing page. Okay, so we're back in Cursor now. You can see here in our terminal window that the web page is still running in dev mode. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave this PowerShell terminal window active so that it's constantly running in dev mode. Therefore, in the future, when we do make updates to this code, it will automatically update because dev mode is constantly running here in this PowerShell window. So what I'll do is I'll leave that. You can see on the right hand side in Cursor we've got our terminal windows here that we can see that are open. I'll move over now to the WSL window here that I've got open, and I'll use this to initiate a Claude Code session. So the command for that is Claude. If we run that, we'll get prompted to open a new Claude Code session. I'll just extend this. Do you trust the files in this folder? Yes. We want to proceed. And we can see now we've opened up a new Claude Code session. You can move this also. If you want to move it up to the side here, you can do that. For now, I'll just leave it at the bottom here. What I always like to do when I first open up a Claude Code session in a new project is use the initialize command. This will allow Claude Code to analyze all of the files in this directory and create a claude.md file with code-based documentation. It's essentially just a reference with context that it can refer to sort of essentially work towards guidelines. So it's going to know exactly what this directory is once it's worked through this command, and then it will be able to follow those rules and guidelines when it is building any code for our website. So I'll run that command. I'll let that create the claude.md file. Okay, so we can see Claude Code has finished. It's created a claude.md file. Let's jump in there and quickly have a look at what it's created. We can see it's got development commands here, so it now understands what commands to run to start a project. It's got tech stack and architecture. It's identified the project structure, and it's included some key architectural notes here and styling approach. So we can update this over time. Obviously, we're going to be using Vercel to deploy to production to host our website. We'll probably include that in here, so some of those commands will be relevant when we get to the stage of testing using Vercel development mode and also deploying to production via Vercel. Those commands will probably be relevant to include in this claude.md file, but that's a really good starting point with just an overview of exactly what this project is, this new Next.js project, and what some of the important commands are to be aware of at this stage of the process. Okay, so as mentioned, what I'm going to do for this demo project is create a new homepage for my website. As you can see here, I already have a website live. The current content on the homepage is focused around an Eliza OS character creation template process. What I want to do is change this to more of a generic homepage that's an overview of the AI content that I'm creating. So this content is going to change, but what I want to do is I want to maintain this theme and design. So the background colors, the icons for social media, other things like that I want to maintain so that the branding is consistent. Okay, so I'm back in Cursor now. As you can see, I've also got the localhost running on the right-hand side here. So that PowerShell terminal still has dev mode running for Next.js. Therefore, any changes we make here in the Cursor chat will automatically update, and you'll see this page on the right hand side refresh with the updates that we make in real time. So that's hot reload working, which is available with Next.js projects. This is a really good workspace setup if you want to do real-time live updates to any landing pages or your website. If you set it up in this way, as you'll see, these changes will apply automatically, and we'll be able to use this dev mode environment to test and refine our website. What I've also done, which I highly recommend, is I've created a style guide. So in my existing website project directory, what I've done is I've just created a style guide there with all of the existing fonts and colors and branding that is used. And then I've copied that across to this new project. So this is essentially the same as importing your brand style guidelines so that Claude Code can reference this and update the landing page based on whatever colors and fonts and branding you want it to adhere to. So you can see here, the Snapper AI style guide has all the fonts and colors all the information that Claude Code needs in order to create a landing page that will be in the same theme and design as our existing website. So if you're starting a brand new project, I highly recommend using Claude Code to create brand style guidelines, or you might already have those brand style guidelines that exist. Ask Claude potentially if you can change those brand style guidelines into a .md file, which would then allow you to import it into your project directory. PDF files work as well. So the main thing is, if you can get your brand style guidelines into this project directory, I've just created it within the folder. Claude Code can then refer to this and update the landing pages and the website according to what the guidelines are in this document. Okay, so we'll start with a pretty basic prompt. I've just copy pasted that into the window here. I want to create a new homepage for my website, follow the same structure as snapperai.io and the same theme and design. You can find the style guide in this project directory at style.md. I want the landing page to be a home page, so make the copy for an overall view of Snapper AI tutorials and tips. Change the form to be an opt-in to a newsletter style update on future AI tips and courses. So that's the prompt we'll start with. This is a very basic prompt. You can go into a lot more detail if you want Claude Code to follow specific guidelines. We'll just use this for now. Okay, so you can see Claude Code is reviewing the prompt and creating a to-do list. The first step is going to be a review of style.md, so it knows what style guidelines to follow when it creates the landing page. It's then going to analyze the website. You can see here it's asked to fetch the content from snapperai.io. This is to review the structure of the existing landing page so that it can follow that. You can see step 3 in the to-do list is also then to create the home page. Step 4 is to apply the theme and styling, and step 5 is to update the form to the newsletter opt-in style. So you'll see that through this process it will make changes to the global CSS, the layout, and the page.tsx itself. Once we see those changes come through and we'll accept them, then we'll see on the right hand side this dev mode landing page will update with the changes that are made via Claude Code here. Okay, so it's asking now to make edits to page.tsx, which we'll accept. You can see on the right hand side the website's updated. And now it's going to make some more changes to the layout. And we can see that it has finished its update, but the design on the right hand side doesn't match what we've instructed. We can see the content has updated. The theme and the design hasn't. So what I'll do now is I'll prompt Claude Code again and just let it know what I'm seeing and see if it will then make those changes. Okay, so I've written a prompt here. I can see that the styling hasn't been applied. The background is white and all the text is black. Please review and ensure everything is set up correctly so the styling is applied. And we'll see there's probably something within maybe even the global CSS that needs to be updated. And it looks like that's what it has defined. I need to properly define the CSS variables and ensure they're working with Tailwind's color system. So that's probably where the issue lies. And we'll see that Claude Code will now identify that and review and hopefully fix the problem here. And there we go. So it's made the updates to global CSS, which has now applied to the website. So on the right hand side, we saw hot reload in action there, where it's just instantly updated based on that change that was made. It's still making some changes to page.tsx as well, so we'll allow it to keep working. But we can see here, this design now matches our existing website, so that's great. We can see there's another button here and some more information. So you can see the power of using Claude Code and Next.js to work on websites. Once you've got that base set up where the theme and the design is defined and working correctly as it is now, you can easily create new pages just by prompting Claude Code here, which I'll show you shortly once it's finished working on this update. I'll ask it to change some of the copy and the design here on the right hand side, and we'll see how quickly and instantly the updates are applied. Okay, so it's finished applying those updates. We can see now we have the correct theme and design in dev mode that we can see on the right hand side. Now I'm just going to run some prompts here to show you how you can also update the landing page content and how quickly you can see those changes using hot reload here in dev mode. So first, what I'm going to do is instruct it to update the logo. So you can see here up the top left in the dev mode window, it's still got the Next.js logo next to Snapper AI. What I actually want is the Snapper logo in that position. So what I'm going to do here is prompt it to say, please update the Next.js logo in the top right using the Snapper logo, which you can find in this directory. So it should be able to locate the logo file now and make that update. So the Next.js logo should update to the Snapper logo. So it's found the logo. Now it wants to make that change. Let's move the location of it first. And now it's made that update. So we can see on the right hand side it instantly updated there. As soon as I hit enter to accept that change, it instantly updated in the dev mode window. It's now updating the footer logo. So if we scroll down to the bottom, we can see it's also updated the footer section. So you can sit here and iterate and make changes to any website or landing page with this workflow setup. And in real time, those changes are going to take effect in dev mode. So if you set up with a split window like this, you can really make a lot of changes and refine your website or landing page really quickly. So what I'll do next is I want to change the headline here, Master AI in minutes, not months. Rather than coming up with something that's better, what I'm actually going to do is ask Claude Code to come up with something. So minutes, not month isn't really what I want in this position. So what I'll say is, can you update the main headline to be more focused on building AI agents? So we'll see what it comes up with. You can be specific if you want. If you've got something in mind that you want as a headline or copy, you can be specific on what you want that copy to be. You can even upload a copy deck and it will apply all of that copy instantly. We can see here it's changed it to build AI agents in minutes, not months. We'll leave that for now. We can make some tweaks to that later, but you can see here that it made that update and then it instantly appears in this dev mode window, so we can see those changes as they take effect. And that just makes it really easy for you to build new pages and new websites. It's still making some changes. You can see it's updating the rest of the content to be specific to AI agents. So we'll allow it to do that. We'll also make sure these links work in the future as well. But yeah, that's an overview of how this setup works. What I'll do is I'll refine this landing page, and then what we can do is deploy it to Vercel. So I'll show you how to set up a Vercel account. That allows you to then push this to production once you're happy with it. So as mentioned, we're in dev mode at the moment. Next.js projects integrate with Vercel. So if you do have a Vercel account, and you can do this with a free account, you can set up a custom domain. So whatever website you're working with, you can then deploy it immediately to production. So you'll see that through this process, I'll show you how to do that. And by the end of it, you'll see the actual live snapperai.io homepage will update with the changes we've made here to the landing page. So I'll allow Claude Code to finish what it's working on now, and then we'll move on to that next step. Okay, I might just make another few updates here and show you how it can work with a few other different type of updates. So what I want to do is add a few menu items so that the existing pages can still be accessed via the links in the menu. So I'll ask Claude Code to add that. So I've asked it, can you please add 2 menu links to the top right navigation? ELIZA templates and PRD templates as the 2 links we want. So it's added those links here. What I'm going to do now also is I'm just going to ask it to make them bold. So at the moment they look similar to the YouTube and X link. I want them to stand out as being separate from that. So I will say so to say exactly that, I want them to stand out. So can you make them bold? Okay, so it's updated that as well, as you can see here. So now they're bold, they stand out as clear menu items. What I'm going to do next is now tell it what the URLs are that should be attached to each menu item, so that when we do push this to prod, it will link to those specific pages. So I'll do that now. I'll say the ELIZA link and the PRD link are as follows. Now it should update the code so that those links work correctly. So as you can see, this is just another example of how we can, in a Claude Code session, just prompt Claude Code to update our website, and we can have dev mode running on the right hand side so that we can see exactly what changes are being made in real time. Okay, so that's done. Okay, I'm working on some more updates here to the homepage design. So I thought I'd just show you what I'm doing here and another method you can use to update any website or landing page you're working on with this workflow. So in this example, I've opened up a Claude window. So Claude Code's great for implementing the changes, as we have done previously up to this point in the video. What you can also do is use Claude to refine your thoughts and your strategy on what you want to build, and have Claude itself in a separate window design the prompt for you. Then you can go back to Claude Code with the prompt that Claude creates, and that makes the implementation easier. So you can kind of brainstorm your thoughts here in Claude and then ask Claude to then turn the results into a prompt, then copy and paste that straight back into Claude Code and it will implement the changes. So that's what I've done on the right hand side. You can see I've made some changes to the headline and the copy here and the form. What I'm going to do now is update some of the other blocks on the web page. So you can see here with the original build, we've got some blocks here: build AI agents the smart way and some information, everything you need to build AI agents, and then some more content here, and a frequently asked questions section here at the bottom. I don't really want these sections on the home page. What I would prefer is information about these 2 links here. So there are ELIZA templates that you can download for one of the videos I've recorded, and there's also PRD prompt templates you can download that also relate to a previous video that I uploaded. What I would prefer to have is those sections essentially mentioned on this homepage, so that if people do scroll down, they can see that information and potentially find and download those templates. So what I'm going to do here is I've first just said to Claude, are you able to see the following web pages? I've provided the links to these 2 pages that are currently live. It has accessed those 2 pages. So as you can see here, it's fetched both URLs. It's found the Master ELIZA OS character creation landing page, and it's also found the PRD prompt template landing page. So now what I can do is, with this information, I can prompt it to now create content blocks that I can now then go back to Claude Code and ask it to implement those blocks into the website design. So what I'm going to do here now is say, can you please design what I'm actually first going to do is just set context. So I want to create content blocks to promote both of these pages on the new homepage I'm designing. Can you please design copy and any design elements so they can be created as content blocks on the main page? So I'll start with that prompt and we'll see what Claude creates. It's started by creating the code, so I'm just going to stop it. If it'll let me, yes it has. I don't need code. Okay, so I've just stopped it in the as it started to write code, and now I've followed up by saying I don't need code, I just need the copy and any design instructions. I'll use the final copy as a prompt to give to my web dev tool. So with that context provided, we can see here it's now providing a headline, a subtitle, some information. It looks pretty good from what I can see there. Okay, so for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to go ahead with what Claude has recommended. You could refine. This is the stage where you would potentially refine the content and just ask, review what it's written and maybe make some tweaks. You can even brainstorm with Claude here to refine and come up with some better ideas. That's what I've done to change the copy that you can see on the right hand side. We can see it's now provided this as a prompt, so I just said now provide this as a prompt. I can give to Claude Code. It starts here, create two promotional content blocks for a homepage that showcase template offerings. So what I'll do is I will copy this. It's got design requirements and technical specs as well. I don't need to include that because I've already got that set up with Claude Code within my project directory. So Claude Code has that context already. I don't need to provide all of that. So I've just copied the actual content for the two blocks. I'm going to go back and post them to Claude Code chat here. I'm just going to say as well, add them underneath the main Okay, and I've also just said at the end there, add them underneath this section here. So I want this section to remain the same, but then the next two sections I want to be these new two content blocks. It looks like it understands the instruction. As you can see from the response there, it's now updating page.tsx. It's created them right next to each other. They look okay. I'm happy with the design, but I don't think we need them side by side. We can probably stack them. So what I'm going to do now is say so I'd rather them, have their own content block and come one after another instead of being side by side. Design-wise, I think they're looking pretty good. We'll see if that changes much with this next update. Okay, so it's changed them. There's still a bit of work that needs to be done here with this design. As you can see, the buttons look a bit strange. They're probably too small in terms of their height. They probably need to be a bit longer. So I might just say that. So I could probably have worded that better, but for the purpose of this, that's hopefully enough information and context for Claude Code to understand that what I want is just them to take up a bit more space height-wise. You can see how these blocks are a bit bigger, the space that they're taking up. It's almost a full view of the window, whereas these ones you can see both. So if they have a bit more space, they should stand out and look a bit better. That's an improvement. That looks a little bit better. I might just leave that as it is for the moment. I'll show you another example of how you can just remove content if you want. So I'm just going to say remove the build AI agents the smart way block. That's not really relevant to what we're creating here in terms of what we want the homepage to be, so we'll remove that. And as you can see, this should update in real time. So once we accept this change, we should see that disappear, and it has. We can also remove the frequently asked questions section. So we'll get rid of that one as well. We might add another section later, or maybe tweak this. But this is just another example of some of the changes you can make. So as you can see, that's now gone. So I've spent another 10 or so minutes prompting Claude Code here to just refine the website before we do push it to prod in Vercel. As you can see here, we've updated the YouTube and X links with logos now instead of text. That just separates it a bit more cleanly from the links. We've also made updates here to these two sections where we have templates. We've embedded the YouTube videos that correspond with each section, so this makes it a lot stronger, where we've now got the text explaining the character templates that you can access, and then a direct link to the video that explains how to build AI agents and how these templates are used. Similar for the PRD one, we've also embedded the YouTube video here, so these look a lot better now. With this update, it's clear what the offer is, and there's a link here for the templates, and then we've also got a link to the video. So if people land on the homepage and they want to watch the video or access the templates, they're able to do that now. So that looks a lot better than how we had it before. We've also updated this section here that was originally content around building AI agents and the tutorials, but it was a bit higher level and not really specific to what we actually are providing. So what I did is I prompted Claude Code and asked it to update these sections to highlight some of the tools that we feature in the videos. So you can see it's done that here. We've now got a section that shows which tools we predominantly use in these tutorials: Eliza OS, Claude, Cursor, ChatGPT, Vercel, and Gemini. And then we just updated the bottom form to be another opt-in for essentially what is the newsletter. So just for general updates, that form is now available, so someone can enter their email address and sign up to the newsletter that way. So that's it. The new homepage is ready for deployment now. I'm satisfied with the content. So we'll jump over to Vercel next, and we will test it in Vercel and then deploy it to production. Okay, so the next step is pretty straightforward. We just need to sign up to Vercel. So you can see I've done that here. I've created a new account specifically for this demo video. So this is what you'll see as soon as you sign up to Vercel. That's all we need to do for now. We've got our account. Now we will jump over to PowerShell and run some commands to connect our website project to our Vercel account so that we can deploy it to production. Okay, so we're in PowerShell here. You can see I've navigated to the project directory that we're working in. So that is Snapper AI-homepage-redesign. That's where we've built our new homepage design. What we first need to do is initialize the Git repo, as that's what connects our project with Vercel. So to do that, we need to run git init. Then we want to run git add dot. And then finally, git commit. And then we'll call this initial homepage redesign. So all we're doing here is initializing our Git repo so that Vercel can detect the project. Okay, so the next step is to log into Vercel. We want to log in here with email. If you've got a GitHub account set up, you can log in with Git. For this purpose, because I've got multiple accounts, as I created this specifically for the demo, I'm just going to use email to sign in. So that's been successful. We've logged in. Now it's asking, do we want to set up and deploy our new project? We want to say yes. We want to link to an existing project. No, it's a new project. We just created a brand new Vercel account, so there will be no existing project. Now we want to name it, so we'll just go, we'll name it, we could have just left what was there. We'll name it Snapper AI Homepage Redesign. I'll just press enter for that. Do you want to modify these settings? I'll say no. Do you want to use default deployment protection settings? Yes. Now it's created a new Vercel project for us. And it's now running the build. Looks like it's deploying it to production. We can see here it's given us a production link. It's still working on the download, so once it has finished, we'll click on this production link here, and we should be able to see that the project is live. Okay, so I copy pasted the build error and sent that to Claude Code in our project directory. It identified what the issue was. It updated some of the code in our project to correct the issues, and then I've run Vercel again here, and you can see that it's deployed successfully. So now we can visit the production link here, and we should see our site live. So we'll click that link, and as we can see here, our project is now live. So our landing page has loaded correctly, it's been built. We can see it's been deployed to this Vercel URL here. Because we set up a new project, that's the Vercel assigned URL that your project gets deployed to. You can set up a custom domain so that you can deploy your project to your custom domain, and then Vercel essentially acts as your hosting service. So you, just like I did then in PowerShell, anytime you want to update your website, you can make those changes within Claude Code to build your website in dev mode. Then you just jump over to PowerShell and run the Vercel production command, and that will deploy your updated website in real time to your domain. So as we can see here, it's now working correctly. Our website is live. I'll jump over to Vercel and show you how that build gets reflected in your Vercel account when you do deploy using the Vercel CLI, as we've just done here. Okay, we're back in Vercel now, and as you can see, under the project section, we now have a project, which is the one we've just deployed using the Vercel CLI. So if we click into here, we can see the production deployment is live. We can see the logs if we want to have a look at if there's any issues or errors with the build. We can see everything looks good. We can go back to the overview here. We can see the domain. So as I mentioned, Vercel gives you the Vercel branded domain. So that's what we have here. Snapper AI-homepage-redesign.vercel.app. So our project is now live at this URL. So that's how you can then use Vercel for essentially your hosting service. So anytime you want to make updates to your project, you can do so in Claude Code. It will update the website as I've just shown you via your local directory. Once you've tested in dev mode and you're happy, you can then move over to PowerShell and run those Vercel CLI commands to then deploy your updated website to production, which, as you can see here, we've done that, and now this landing page is live at this URL. So if you go back to domains here in the project section in Vercel, you can add domains here. So if you want to add a custom domain, that's where you can do it here, and then you can select which domain you want as your primary domain, and then that will be, whenever you push a project to production, that will then be live at your custom domain. So that's how simple it is to build, update, and deploy websites using this workflow. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Thanks.